Today, we're talking about the four things your website needs to have if you work in the performing arts. Whether you're a performer, a director, a composer, it doesn't matter. These are the four universal things that help convince people to hire you. It gives them the trust, comfort, and excitement they need to feel like they're making the right decision. That's what I talked about on my latest podcast episode. But before we get to that, be sure to hit the subscribe and get notified button so you don't miss any of these episodes. All right, on to the podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to Theater Life Uncensored, where we peel back the curtain and reveal to you what's really working in today's industry for theater artists just like you. That means you get to hear and learn how to surpass your career goals sooner and enjoy an easier, more peaceful life along the way. I'm your host, Jim Cooney, a New York City-based director-choreographer, and I'm also the founder of Amplified Artists. It's a membership community for theater professionals, from performers to producers and everyone in between, helping you create a career and life you love. Websites are really the best tool you have to secure a job. Unlike your resume or your reel or social media, your website houses everything someone needs to hire you. But your website will only seal the deal if you're strategic about what you show and how you show it. Now, if you don't already know this about me, I'm a tech geek. So I was building websites way back in the early 2000s, long before there were these do-it-yourself tools like Wix and Squarespace. I designed a ton of websites for theater artists and even used to have a company that did this. So I got to see time and time again what worked and also what didn't. And it was pretty universal in what helped people book more work. Fast forward to now, where these do-it-yourself tools are more available, I've still been teaching artists how to design and easily build their own websites for years now. And honestly, even though you can do so much more fancy stuff now, it's still the same basics that really matter. That has not changed. I continue to see people booking more work when they apply these strategies. And that starts with having these four must-have things in place. But before we talk about those, one of the things I get asked most about is branding, and it can be really difficult to clarify what that is. So I put together a free guide and worksheet walking you through a 3-part formula that will help you get clear on your brand. You can grab it for free on my website at jimcooney.me/branding. Again, that's jimcooney.me/branding, and I'll include that link in the show notes. Also, if you want to connect outside of this episode, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at jimcooneynyc. Pop on over and say hello. So let's look at these four things you need to have on your website. And you can think of these as four separate sections, which could all be on one page if you have a one-page website, or they could be divided up across multiple pages, even four completely separate pages if you'd like. It really just depends on how you've organized your site. But these are the four main things or sections that you need to have. The first is really two pieces, and it's what we should see right away on your homepage, and that's your name and headshot. And when I say headshot, if you're a performer, yes, this should be your headshot. But if you're not a performer, it should still be a picture of you. People are hiring you, the human. Yes, they want your expertise, but the thing that's really going to be the most important is you as a human. That is what gives you an edge over everyone else. And you see this all the time, where someone with perhaps not the most experience or advanced skills books the job because the person hiring them knows, likes, and trusts them more. Well, it's impossible to build up that know, like, and trust if you don't show your face. The best way for a human to connect with another human is to actually see your face. This is why selfies on social media do so much better than other kinds of content. We just react to people's faces. So if it's not a headshot, at least show your face, and maybe you doing your work, like you're in the middle of directing a show or you're writing your script or whatever it may be. But have your face visible so people can connect with you. The only exception to this is for people who are designers, like for lighting, sets, costumes, etc. In that case, you want that big, exciting image of your work front and center on your homepage to really wow people. But I would still say it's important to show your face a little further down the page for all of the same reasons. So that's the photo part of it. But remember, I also said your name. Now, you may already have your name as like a little logo in your menu, but you also want it big and bold with your photo on your homepage. And the reason why is it connects your name with your face. People throw around that statistic that it takes 7 times for someone to meet you to really know who you are. And I don't know if that's been scientifically proven or not, but when someone who doesn't know you comes to your website, you definitely want to help them connect the dots of who you are, because the more they see your name and face together, the quicker they will remember you. All right, moving on to the second thing you need to have, your resume. Now, of course, that seems obvious, but remember, we're talking strategy here. We want to be strategic about how we show things on your website. So, first, you want to make sure it's super obvious in your menu where your resume is. And the easiest solution to that is to just have a menu item called resume. Or the other thing you can do is it's pretty standard to put your resume on your About page. So you could have About in your menu instead. Second, you want this page to be the next one after your home page. Make it super simple for people to find. Or if you're doing a one-page site, then have this be your second section right after your name and headshot. You also want your resume to be both visible and downloadable. I'm going to say that again, visible and downloadable. Some people will just want to take a quick glance, so it's going to annoy them if they have to download it to view it, and then they're going to have something on their computer that's just going to clutter up their desktop. So you have to have a way for them just to view it. But other people will want to download it for their files or to send it to someone else on their team, so you want to have both options. And if you're a member of Amplified Artists, we have a course called Irresistible Websites Made Easy, and in that course, it shows you how to do this. Okay, so the third thing you need to have is examples of your work. Just giving your credits on your resume isn't going to cut it. People want to see photos, videos, reviews, press clippings. It just paints a much fuller picture and creates that trust that we talked about earlier. Plus, your resume is only a collection of opportunities that other people gave you. If you only show that, you're maybe not getting the chance to show off all of the other things you can do. And this is especially true if you're trying to position yourself in a certain way, like you want to play lead roles, but you only have ensemble on your resume. So instead, show on your website that you can do this. Film yourself doing the things you want to be known for. Again, be strategic here. Don't just rely on existing material you already have. Present material that positions you for the jobs that you want. And that may mean you have to create some more material, but it's going to be well worth it. I'd even go so far as to argue that examples of your work matter way more than just your resume when it comes to booking jobs. And the fourth and final thing you need to have is your contact info or your agent's contact info if you have one. Now, again, I know this sounds obvious, but we're talking about strategy here. So, like with your resume, it needs to be super obvious where your contact information is located on your site. So, I recommend having it as the very last item in your menu and calling it contact. That's the web standard and what people are used to seeing. Plus, it does make sense in the order of how they would go through your content. First, they come to your website, they see your name and face, then they look at your resume, then they check out your work samples, and then they've decided, yes, you're the one for the job, so they want to now contact you. So that's another reason why you want it to be the last menu item. It's just a natural progression they're going to go through when they're visiting your website. But I also recommend having your contact info in your footer too. Not a link to your contact page, but your actual contact info. Because if someone has scrolled down to the bottom of your page, that means they're really interested and they're excited by what they see. So having your contact info right there makes it so easy for them to get in touch and book you. And remember, when someone has scrolled down your page, your menu probably isn't visible anymore. So that contact link in your menu is now hidden. But if your contact info is visible there in the footer, then again, you're making it so easy for them to find. Now, I'm going to give you a bonus tip here. Do not, I repeat, do not use contact forms. First of all, no one likes filling out a form. It just takes too much time. Second, it doesn't give your email address to the person. So anytime they want to contact you in the future, they have to come back to your website, click on your contact page, and fill out the form again. Third, if they do send you a message through your form, they have no record of it in their sent folder in their email app. So if they're looking to see like, oh, who did I email last week about that job? They're going to look through their sent folder and they see the 10 emails that they've sent, but they're not going to see that they had also sent you one through your website. They could completely forget that they'd even contacted you at all. Fourth, if it's a time-sensitive matter, they don't know if you've even received the form submission. Like, what if the form's not working? Or what if you have it going to an old email address and you forgot to update it to your new email address? There's no way for them to even know if you've received their message. And so it just creates more work and possible frustration all around. And there's zero benefit to having a form. So just avoid it. Don't put it on there. It should be either your contact info or your agent's or both. So those are the 4 must-haves for your website. And of course, there's so much more you can add onto your site, but none of that is going to matter if these 4 things are not strategically working in your favor. I mentioned the Irresistible Websites Made Easy course inside Amplified Artists, which helps you with the resume stuff that we talked about earlier. But it also walks you through all the different ways you can show and organize your work samples. It actually helps you with the organization of your entire site, and it includes a checklist for each step of the way from planning through building your site, and also an audit and tune up for your existing site to ensure you're avoiding over the 30 most common mistakes people make. But the premise of the whole course is how to make your site irresistible, as the name suggests. Irresistible Websites Made Easy. But the more irresistible it is, the longer people want to stay on it, which means the longer they're engaging with your content, which builds that know, like, and trust that we talked about. So for all of you members of Amplified Artists, definitely go check that course out in your library. And by the way, if you're not yet a member, you get instant access to all of our courses, workshops, and resources the moment you join us. All of that is available to you instantly on demand. All right, before we wrap up here, if you've got any questions on this episode, give me a shout on Instagram at JimCooneyNYC. And don't forget, you can get my free 3-part branding formula guide and worksheet on my website at jimcooney.me/branding, which I will link to in the show notes. Remember, there is no one on the planet who's just like you. Be true to the gifts you have and who you are. Thanks for tuning in today. Now, here's a little preview of next week's episode. I will see you then.
So many times I feel like we want to do something, we have an idea, and we're like, oh, but I'm not ready to do it yet. And then, you'll find yourself like 3 years later and you're like, I've been telling myself I'm not ready to do this dream that I've had. And it's like, when am I going to be ready? So personally, I think that should just be like kicked out the door. Like you should just, if you have an idea, just start somewhere.
So there you go. If you have any questions or you want to keep the conversation going, you can drop a note in the comments below. I personally respond to them myself. If you like this episode, hit the like button to help more people find out about it, and also subscribe and get notified so you don't miss any of these episodes. Remember, there is no one on the planet who is just like you. Be true to the gifts you have and who you are. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.